Hello there, very good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News on TV1. On behalf of the Newsfirst, the voice of the people, I'm Martin Satyanesan. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for this afternoon.
Who is revealing the truth behind the availability of rice? Protest organized by railway employees ends. COVID-19 vaccination at hospitals effective today. 5 people hospitalized following a brawl in Maravilla.
Now those stories in detail. Several Grama Niladhari divisions in Monaragala, Kegol, Gaul and Kaluthara districts have been isolated with immediate effect. We now cross over to Newsfirst Azra Azan for a comprehensive update on the matter. Azra?
Thank you, Martin. Now, the National Operations Center for the Prevention of COVID-19 outbreak said that the Kanulvela Grama Niladhari division in the Monaragala district has been isolated, and 4 estate houses in Niyandurupola, Kannagama, Devalakanda estate and Godampula Pambegama areas in the Kegod district were also isolated. Aladu estate in the Kaluthara district and Divi Turuwatta in the Gaul district are also among these isolated areas. Now, while these areas have been placed under isolation, several areas in these districts have been lifted. The isolation status in these areas have been lifted. Now, the isolation status of 5 more areas in the Kaluthara, Gampaha, Matale and Kegol districts were lifted at 6 this morning. Now, there is a vaccination drive currently taking place in the Western Province. What is the situation there? Let's take a look.
The GMOA stated that the administration of the Sinopharm vaccine for people over 60 years of age in the Western Province would take place at 45 government hospitals today. The association further stated that the administration of the vaccines would continue at 17 hospitals in the Colombo district, including at the National Hospital. Administration of the vaccine will take place in 16 hospitals in the Gampaha district. The association also stated that the COVID-19 vaccine would be administered to people over 60 years at 10 hospitals in the Kaluthara district.
Now, speaking of oxygen supply to COVID-19 patients, State Ministry of Pharmaceutical Production, Supply and Regulation said that they have decided to temporarily suspend the supply of oxygen to other industries if the demand for oxygen in hospitals increases. Now, hospital authorities have been instructed to fill the existing cylinders with a capacity of 327,000 tons of oxygen. The ministry also said that steps have been taken to construct 11 oxygen plants in the northern and eastern provinces, and steps have also been taken to provide 5,000 small machines of oxygen to hospitals to produce the required amount of oxygen for the COVID-19 patients. State Ministry added that these machines could be used for a longer period of time. Now, this is a situation pertaining to the COVID-19 situation in the country. It's to you, Martin, back to the main studio.
Thank you, Azra, for that comprehensive update. Shifting your attention from COVID-19 situation in the country to another developing story. Samagi Jana Balawegya staged a series of protests over the fuel price increase and demanding solutions for the shortage of fertilizer.
This was a protest staged in Angunukola Palace this morning. The protest was organized by parliamentarian Dilip Vedarachi. Members of the Moratuwa Municipal Council also staged a demonstration in front of the Municipal Council this morning. Meanwhile, residents of Angammadilla in Polonnaruwa staged a protest in front of the Wildlife Office in the area. The protest was staged over an arrest of a schoolboy in the Angammadilla area. Residents of Veerapura area in Polonnaruwa also staged a protest yesterday, demanding relief for the inconvenience caused to them due to irregularities at the Veerapura Sanasa Bank branch.
While the Railway Engine Drivers Association and Railway Regulators Association engaged in a protest since 8 this morning, pointing to a financial fraud alleged to have taken place during the introduction of an electronic ticket.
Instead of providing this project worth 4.4 billion rupees to issue tickets to a foreign company, we can do it by ourselves. That is what we informed the subject minister. However, he said, based on the tender process, it has been given to this company. Whether it can be cancelled is something that needs to be found out through a committee consisting of the officials attached to the department and representatives of the trade unions in the future. We temporarily suspend the trade union action. Accordingly, we are expecting to act based on the decision of the committee. Railway operations will be conducted as usual in the evening.
Meanwhile, the farmers across the island warn that a food shortage may occur at the end of the season as the seasonal cultivations are not being carried out due to the shortage of fertilizer. Fertilizer was not provided for cultivation of crops, including maize, in the villages of Matigahatanna, Bakkinilamda and Udagama in the Lunugala Divisional Secretariat Division. As a result, farmlands are becoming barren lands. The banks are sending us letters reminding us of the debt. We have even pawned our jewellery.
ඉතින් එහෙම අපට දුක් දෙන්නේ ඇයි මේ ආණ්ඩුවේ මේවා දකින්නට අපට මේ කඳුළු ගැලෙනවා කියන්නේ මේවා හෙටයි ඉඳලා අපට වහ බීලා තමයි මැරෙන්න වෙන්නේ.
Farmers staged protests across the island demanding fertilizer today as well. Farming families in Morogahakanda Mahawir are left helpless without fertilizer. 3,000 acres of paddy lands are in danger of being destroyed due to the lack of fertilizer. Today they took to the streets demanding the government to provide fertilizer.
I demand the government to listen to the woes of the farmers. The farmers must be compensated for all they lost. Make sure they are given what you promised them.
Meanwhile, the Indian government yesterday gave approval to a Mumbai-based pharmaceutical firm to import Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine.
The Drugs Controller General of India granted permission to Mumbai-based pharmaceutical company Kipla to import Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine for restricted emergency use in the country. With Moderna's approval, India now has 4 vaccines which have been granted emergency use authorization, the other 3 being Covishield, Covaxin and Sputnik V. Clinical trials have shown that Moderna's mRNA 1273 vaccine has an efficacy of approximately 94.1% starting from 14 days after taking the first dose. According to a recommendation, the Moderna vaccine should be administered in 2 doses at a gap of 28 days.
Meanwhile, the Government Nursing Officers Association has decided to conduct a trade union action in hospitals tomorrow and day after tomorrow due to the lack of attention given by the authorities in resolving their issues.
COVID-19 වසංගතය තත්ත්වය ඇතුලේ අතිවිශාල එදිරිදාරින් ප්‍රමාණයක් අද වෙනකොට වසංගතයට බිලි වෙලා තියෙනවා.
A multitude of health workers have fallen victim to the pandemic. Just recently, a female health worker passed away. The facilities are insufficient. We brought this up on multiple occasions, but yet there is no solution in sight. Therefore, the Government Nursing Officers Association has made a decision to go on strike on the 1st and 2nd of July. Essential services will not be hampered during this time. Specialist hospitals such as the Maragama Cancer Hospital will also not be affected. COVID treatment centers will also not be affected in any way. These issues have not been addressed over a significant number of years, and therefore we would like the government to know that we are looking forward to proper solutions to this crisis.
අපි කියන පාලකයන්ට ප්‍රශ්නෙට විසඳුමක් දෙනවා නම් අපි කැමති නැවත මේ ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ගැන හිතලා බලන්න.
Meanwhile, a body was found floating in the upper area of the Pulvatumodara River in the Denipiti area in Kadevatta last night.
The body was found by Army intelligence officers during a search of the Pulvatumodara River, according to the information provided to the 119 police emergency number. The identity of the deceased has not yet been confirmed. The body has been placed at the Mathura General Hospital morgue and the post-mortem is to be conducted. Waligama police are conducting further investigations into the matter.
Meanwhile, a clash between two groups in the Marville area in Maravilla was recorded on CCTV.
The attackers had broken into a house in the Marville area in Maravilla. However, the initial conflict is between a group of women. Subsequently, another group had arrived at the scene, assaulted the occupants and vandalized the house. 5 people from both parties who were injured in the incident were admitted to the Maravilla hospital, and the Maravilla police are conducting further investigations.
In international news, now dozens of people have died in Canada amid unprecedented heat wave that has smashed temperature records.
Police in British Columbia have responded to almost 70 sudden deaths since Monday, the majority of them involving elderly people. They said the heat wave baking the region was a contributing factor. On Tuesday, Canada recorded its highest ever temperature for a third straight day, 49.5 degrees Celsius in Lytton, British Columbia. According to the police, the heat is believed to have been a contributing factor in the deaths of 69 people in the suburbs of Vancouver. Most were elderly or had underlying health conditions.
In more international news, rebel fighters in the Tigray region of Ethiopia are continuing to gain ground after recapturing the regional capital, Mekelle, from government forces. According to UN officials, the rebels have now entered the town of Shire, about 140 kilometers to the northwest of the country. Eritrean troops backing the Ethiopian army had earlier abandoned the city. The government has declared a ceasefire in the 8-month conflict, but the rebels have vowed to drive their enemies from Tigray. The fighting between the Tigray People's Liberation Front and government forces has left thousands of people dead. More than 2 million have been displaced and 350,000 pushed towards famine. The fighting began in November when rebels rejected political reforms and captured army bases. Government forces captured Mekelle last month. There were scenes of jubilation in the streets of the capital on yesterday, a day after the rebels retook the city following a rapid offensive. The central government has called a humanitarian ceasefire in the region. In one of a headline-making local story, Minister of Commerce Bandalu Gunawardena and Minister of Agriculture Mahindananda Alutgamage informed that a fine of 100,000 rupees will be imposed on businessmen who sell rice for a higher price. They made this announcement at a press briefing today.
අපිට අගෝස්තු මාසේ ඉඳලා ඉදිරි මාස 6කට අවශ්‍ය සහල් අපි ළඟ තියෙනවා. ඒ විතරක් නෙවෙයි.
We have enough rice for 6 months, starting from August. Considering the last Maha season, we have rice to last about a month and a half. There's absolutely no need to worry about a shortage. Speaking about the prices of paddy, 1 kilogram of nadu will sell at 50 rupees, samba at 52 rupees and wet paddy at 44. Accordingly, all paddy mills will begin the procurement of paddy from farmers from tomorrow onwards. There will be no delays as per the norm. The payment will be given to farmers as soon as they bring the harvest to the mill. Furthermore, we set the certified price at 50 rupees through a gazette issued by the Honourable Minister, which also states that samba and kakulu rice will sell at 98 rupees and nadu rice at 96 rupees. However, there were several allegations levelled at us in the recent past that there is no point in issuing gazettes if the government takes no action. After discussions with the minister, we decided that rice cannot be sold at higher prices. The fine for selling rice at a higher price was earlier 2,500 rupees. This is of no use. Now, the Honourable Minister brought in a new gazette prohibiting selling rice at higher prices. Because of certain faults in legislation, we were unable to take control of the situation. No one can sell kiri samba, nadu or samba at higher prices any longer. Strict action will be taken against anyone who tries to go above the law in this regard. We cannot let a few people cheat the people of this country this way. The fine for this offence will be 100,000 rupees.
ලක්ෂයක දඩගහලා අවශ්‍ය දඩුවම් නීති කටයුතු කරන්න යනවා. මිල පාලනය තදින්ම ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න හදනවා. ඒ නිසා ඕනෑවට
Price controls will be strictly enforced. If the 1,250,000 farmers in this country produce 4.5 metric tons of paddy per hectare, we get 5.5 million metric tons per year. When this becomes rice, we will be able to produce 3.3 or 4 metric tons with even an excess. These are baseless accusations. For the shortage to happen, at least 50% of the farmers' population must not produce anything. We have already set up a procedure to provide fertilizer for the next Maha season. I accept the fact that there is about 5% of a shortage. However, the situation is not as bad as they make it out to be. It is a racket of 100 billion. Chemical fertilizer is the world's third largest trade. The first is armament and narcotics. The second is pharmaceuticals. The third is chemical fertilizer. The national trade of this is 100 billion. The government is ready to distribute fertilizer for the next Maha season.
මෙන්න කහකන්නට ආණ්ඩුව පොහොර ටික දෙන්න ලෑස්ති. මොනම හේතුවකටත් අපි මේක අකුල ගන්නේ නැහැ. ආණ්ඩුව දනගස්සන්න ආණ්ඩුවට පාඩමක්.
If anyone tries to teach a lesson to the government, we will impose a fine of 100,000 on them.
අදයක් අත්‍යවශ්‍ය දේට ඇතුල් කරනවා 2500 ලක්ෂයකට වැඩි කරනවා.
Our website www.newsfirst.lk for the Newsfirst, the voice of the people.